We're also going to be talking specifically about sorry about that, about doing less. I actually had this long title, decided that was kind of opposite of what I'm going to be talking about. So it's really just how can we do less? As Malik said, I'm Bekah. This is Adam. I work for a usability consultancy in South Carolina, so quite a trek to get here. And we focus on user testing, user research, full builds, development, design, you name it, but always with a focus on usability. So disclaimer, while I will be talking about doing less, I'm not going to be talking about writing less code or using AI in any way. Sorry. I figured I'd focus on some other aspects of the topic. Overall, embracing the power of less is something that is kind of hard, doesn't come naturally for most people, especially me. For developers, it's not even expected anymore. We are expected to know everything, to be constantly staying up to date, learning new frameworks, new technologies. This is only a small handful, which I accidentally went a little too fast there. Sorry if this upsets anyone, if your darling is up there. I'm not commenting on any of these things being bad. I'm more or less commenting on the fact that it's a lot. It's a lot of expectation. It's a lot that we have to do, on top of the fact that this doesn't include all the things that we're building. These are just the things we use. These are just the tools. But ultimately, when we're talking about less, this doesn't mean that it's lacking. In UX, design, and development, we often think we need more features, more complexity, more tools, more frameworks to be taken seriously and to actually deliver value. But simplifying is a conscious and powerful choice, and that is what I want to focus on. So challenging the more is better mentality is something I have struggled with. I am a maximalist at heart, have always been. In fact, our first band, we are a band today, our first one, we wore costumes. Photo does not include the 6-foot by 6-foot glitter banner with our name on it that I lugged everywhere and hung on every stage behind us. I have come a long way as a designer, close up of Adam, his mask. As a designer, I was not the kind of person that wanted to pick up a pencil. I wanted to go straight to the computer, give me a tablet, I want to dig in. As a developer, I wanted to learn every new framework, every new piece of anything, despite if I'd get to actually use it on a client project. I just wanted to know about it. So none of this came naturally to me, but ultimately my work in usability kind of brought me closer, or rather forced me to embrace simplicity overall. So when I talk about less, this really does apply to our work. It doesn't apply to anything outside of that. I'm not one to say less is more, make do with what you have in any social situation. But when it comes to the things we're doing, I want us to start thinking about doing less with our products, just as a disclaimer, another one. So I found this in a really great article that you can scan over there, talking about how web development has gotten too complex and that we are the problem. I don't agree with everything in there, but it did make me think a lot when I was writing this. Definitely worth a read. And we know that our culture is all about excess. It's all about more tools. But if we do less intentionally, we try to pare down those tools, pare down the things we're using, could we perhaps achieve more? So if we apply this to a simple example like a to-do list, if I had 10 to 15 items on a to-do list, could I get them all done in a day? Unlikely. Could I get most of them done? Probably. Could I get them done well? Again, unlikely. And I might drive myself crazy trying to redo these tasks later to make up for where I lacked in trying to get them all done. So if I reduce those tasks to 2 or 3, what is the likelihood that I get them both done and done really well? It's very high. So if we apply that same thing to our projects and we're reducing things in our sprints, in our MVPs, what could that look like? Ultimately, a minimalist approach isn't about just cutting back. It's about intentionally designing and building less so that the experience is clearer, more focused, and more intentional. Users don't need the full rocket ship. They need just the right features delivered well and quickly. This is an example of an app that's a medical survey. Today, this exists as a 10-page document, paper, with little checkboxes and a scale of numbers 1 through 5 to rate your response to each. While this might look simple in its implementation, there was a lot of thought behind it. And that's ultimately what most simple looking things, how they come about. There's a lot that goes into it, but ultimately what comes out should be simple, should be minimalist, especially in this case where it's something that's used by a diverse audience in a medical setting. But that's not to say that less always means something beautiful and minimalistic like that. It can often mean giving the user exactly what they want, exactly what they need. Design best practices be damned. This can mean lots of data on a large screen packed in there so they don't have to scroll. It can mean literally giving them Excel in the browser because that's what they need to do their job. It can mean, what we'll show you here in a little bit, an interface that really breaks all the rules, in my opinion, for usability, but is for a very specific use case and encourages exploration. Ultimately, when we're doing less, we're able to deliver value sooner because we can solve some problems for the user immediately rather than waiting to give them a whole set of solutions that took a year to get to. That's not to say that fast is always better and that we should hurry through our work to get to the end goal, but it can allow us to solve their problems even just a little bit sooner rather than later. I had the honor of working with a dev team who made this site here, Society. It's evolved quite a bit. And it was actually my first time working with a team that does ensemble programming. Is anybody familiar with that? Maybe sometimes it's called mob programming. And it took a long time to get acclimated to this. I thought it was super weird when we started. But eventually I kind of came around to it and really enjoyed myself. But the biggest thing I took away from them, I encourage you to look up their project, is they felt that if a change was worth making, if it was important enough that you were going to implement it, you should go ahead and implement it right away. So if I gave them a design where I changed all the buttons in the app, for example, they would change the color, push it to production. Then they change the font, push it to production. So every change got pushed out immediately to the user, regardless of how small it was. This rocked my world because I'm very type A. I'm real intense sometimes, and seeing my changes implemented like that, like one commit, one push out to production at a time, was very different. But if we took that approach in our own work, maybe not quite that extreme, but if we thought about the fact, if what I'm doing is important enough to users, why would I wait for them to get this thing, this feature, this change? What would that do? That would be insane. We'd be delivering value so much quicker and with way more thought, because we'd have to reconcile the fact that we're doing it and then it's out there. It's not going to sit on the shelf while we do a bunch of other things to go with it. So this really, really changed my thinking on the topic. All of their code is out there and publicly accessible. Very cool thing to look up. But sometimes, due to budget, timeline, our tech stack, we can't do all of the things we want. But we can reframe that to think about what's the least we can do. What are the low-hanging fruit? I hate saying that, but it's very applicable here. What are the things that we can do that can make an impact and deliver value quickly, despite all of the constraints that we're under? So this could be something like, we can't change the tech stack. We can't change that it's ancient. We can't change the fact that it's implemented a certain way for X, Y, Z. And while I'm not one to say you can put the lipstick on the pig and it works out, you sometimes can, a little bit, make small changes, even just design changes that can make a huge impact for the user. As a designer or developer, they won't please you, ultimately. This did not please me, but it made them so happy. And at the end of the day, that's part of my job. So don't ever think that just because there are constraints that you can't put something great out there. Malik mentioned this in her talk as well, and I think it's very important, but constraints are really our superpower as developers. They make us more creative as designers, as UX people. They make us better at our jobs, and they help us to grow. So today, we are actually probably the most constrained we've ever been in our music, but it's made us very creative. So we've always been a band with a keyboard, and an iPad and like a phone, which is our MIDI controller here. We normally have a guitar, but that doesn't fit easily in a suitcase. Neither did the keyboard, but we made that work. And we normally, like I said, play in a club with a full PA, all this stuff. So we got creative, and Adam, who's an amazing musician, learned all our songs on keyboard with just the keyboard and the iPad. So he's going to quickly, he's going to quickly give you a demo of the app. Just to show you, this is, if you recall, I can go back to it real quick because I probably didn't sit there long enough for you to scan it. This is Protein Der Klang. I did not make this. I wish I did. It's genius in my opinion. But you can scan there to read more about who did. It is not supported anymore, so unless you have a version 2 iPad that you've never updated, you won't be able to run it either. That is a problem for another day that we are working on, and I don't have anything great to show in that regard. But we are going to quickly show you some things about the app, what makes it really good for what we do, but not really good for UX. Not maybe the best design as far as use, design visually, pretty cool in my opinion. And how we've used the constraints of this to hopefully make you some music today that doesn't suck.
We're going to get most of that accomplished, I promise.
While we're getting that set up, if you would like to, if you would like to actually read the post that inspired the talk that I went through way too quickly, there is that and information about our band. And I'm going to get this set up real quick.
So you can see the grid situation, the colors. It's a little bit of customization with the grouping, but like she was saying, this thing breaks all the rules. There's no explanation for that anywhere. You'll never find it.
Nothing is labeled, and if it is, it's in German, which neither of us speak.
I'm two buttons away from erasing any of these if I wanted to with this circle that you see over there. If you know a lot about recording stuff, you know that's a recordings circle, right? Anyhow, so you trigger a loop like this, and I'm gonna fool around for a second to show you what it'll do.
Proximity alert.
And all of these are samples that he's made. I forgot to mention that.
So you got to get the samples loaded into this. You make them in other apps, and then it just is very nice about holding on to them, unlike any technology that came out even the year after that, where you have to pay subscription fees. So it's a little bit of pirate, but I'm not breaking any laws, I promise. It's all good.
But you saw how things were triggered for live performance, especially when we're normally he's playing guitar and either myself or him are triggering the different samples. It's really easy because it's just a big square. You just tap it, you can see the beat is being displayed. You can adjust how fast it is, you can adjust the pitch the same way, and you can choose between songs like he just did.
So as she was saying, we're kind of locked out of it. It's siloed, it's on airplane mode. So sometimes we use parts of a song in reverse for other songs. Sometimes we use things at different speeds so they don't sound anything alike.
Again, constraints,
yeah.
Creativity. We can't really add any more, so we've just made do with what we have here. And yes, we recognize that we could buy something new. We could also, completely abandon this altogether and use tracks. But we really like it, and we're kind of lazy right now. So we just have made do with having a little bit less. And at least we know if something isn't working, it's one of two things. It's the iPad or the iPhone that we're plugged into, which is also very old. So this first one, we're going to try, and if someone in the middle wants to raise their hand at me, if something's off, we can adjust the sound, because we couldn't really do a sound check.
Though that was right, I was going to ask the guys in the back of the booth if there's anybody up there.
I think he already asked them.
Oh, sweet.
Yep.
Awesome. I am almost ready. It's so close. Again, constraints. This is the kind of thing that rich people would pay somebody for.
Yeah, and normally, again, using a guitar, you don't have to sit there on the phone and change all your settings like he's doing now. But we didn't quite work that part out.
All right, I think we're about there. Yeah, this song is called Mr. Moon. not move, he does not speak, he does not breathe. The sun just smiles, thinks she's won. The sun's a smiling, burning one. And all the while, moon just lays there and sleeps. But now's the time for you to come on up and rise. Wipe that stubborn, burning fall from the stubborn, burning sky. Lay 'em low and teach us all, teach us how to love. And how they burn, glow and smile in the sky, shine crystal and white light. The moon just might burn himself on the night, but now's the time for you to come on up and rise and wipe that stubborn burning fall from the stubborn burning sky. Lay on low, teach us all, teach us how to love.
I noticed you said you couldn't hear vocals, so that's still kind of, yeah.
I need to.
Let's move it over here.
Just come closer. You have to sing the next one anyway.
Thanks for letting us just play music for most of this. I mean, I did write the talk. If anyone wants the slides, let me know, but they're very short.
And just so you know, it has been really interesting, even though I only know some of the things you're saying. I know most of the words.
So this little thing here lets you like freeze the wave, which you'll see in a minute.
Right, this is
Kinda lock it in.
the grab repeater. So if I move this up, I can go like Skrillex. And then it makes a little buzzy noise. I can
Not like Skrillex.
do that kind of thing to it. And similar things are available on other apps, but just not as good as this one.
Freeze it.
just to keep my instrument. Say it in the nick of time. The spell of grace is spellbound, free, not down a secret door to find. Age the date and shoot myself to space. I'll be all the time out in the light.
All right, we'll only subject you to one more. This has been a very fun experiment for us. I don't know if anyone here, I know lots of you are actually probably musicians. So if you've ever done this, you know how nice it is to have a sound person and like monitors and all these things. But honestly, I feel like this has been way more fun just to try out. So thank you, Dylan, for enabling us.
Yeah, for real. Thank you all so much for listening. And this song is called Kite Flyer. And it is about really looking up to somebody who's really good at something.
We can all relate.
A little info about this stuff. If you could tell, blue is for melodies, but that's just because I said blue is for melodies. Yellow is for drums or drum-ish things, and red is like for Ridley Scott noises. So, is any of the
Drone, bass noises.
loud, low things. and all the kids are just jealous of your niche and of the way you make the wind your